look, passive income. Guess I should log into the game more often, huh? So, sit down and pay attention. Yes, this is a half an hour video. I know why you're here. You read the title, you want numbers, you want to know what are the best grinding spots in the game, and for once this isn't even subjectively, it's objectively the best grinding spots in the game. Ranked from best to worst, from which ones make the most money to the least. How many numbers? All of them. How many grinding spots? All of them, with some irrelevant exceptions. You're not gonna go to Aragons, you're not gonna go to Basilisks, so all of the relevant grinding spots ranked. How did this project come to be? Well, let's just say, remember about a month or two ago when they did big class buffs where they buffed a bunch of things left and right and oh, big numbers, classes do more damage, and I was like, oh, I used to play this creature here called Awakening Wusa, she's fun and interesting, and I'm like, yeah, let me grind here and there and 1 hour here, 1 hour there, let me see how much I can get out of the class nowadays, and then hours piled up, and then I decided, you know what? If I can get my own trash per hour, my own speed for all of the relevant grinding spots, and then we have this beautiful website here called Garmoth, which aggregates average drop rate for each of the grinding spots, then we can make magic happen. You see, objectively the best grinding spots. I have my clearing speed, and when you have thousands of hours grinded from Garmoth, then I can just simply scale up that average clearing speed and we can have perfectly fair money per hour for every grinding spot and then rank them. See, it makes perfect sense. So listen up. There are some rules to this. For one, gear can vary from player to player, spot to spot. In my case, most of them were tested with about this, 327-ish AP, so not the highest, not the lowest. I would consider it above average nowadays, and let's just say, as you can imagine, in certain spots, I'm easily able to just one-shot the monsters and just delete everything, while in others like Darkseekers I can clear it, but there is obviously room for better. So we have at least a standard AP used everywhere, but in certain cases you can scale the numbers yourself higher if you choose to on your own. Second thing on the list, I tried to do the 1 hour per spot as well as I could, I tried in quotation marks, saying, well, I used a Perfume of Courage or a Deep Sea Elixir if it was necessary, for the spot, depending. The draft, I did have a Villa buff, I did have a House buff, I did have a Horse buff, and I made sure to use species damage. If I needed human damage crystals, I used them, human damage, draft, human damage, whatever else. Basically, I tried to use the best case scenario equipment for a given spot. And you could argue there that, well, some people don't want to waste silver in certain areas for a perfume when it's not needed. Well, I still did. Same with the house buff or the villa buff or whatever you want to count, right? Some buffs might be irrelevant or unnecessary, but I still use them. Same with event buffs, which I did use in certain cases, like the whiskey buff for Darkseekers, for example, high-end areas. If you pay attention, you can see my actual AP at the top left of the screen, so at least hopefully that helps. And number 3, other than some exceptions like Darkseekers, where I had to grind multiple hours because I couldn't get lucky enough to spawn at least 2 wave events in 1 hour, where I spent like 3 or 4 hours for that to happen. In most other areas, I just simply went there, did 1 hour, I tried the best I could, and then that's it. As a casual player who rarely logs into the game nowadays, I don't have the best practice, you could say. I tried a class I didn't touch in a while, Wusa in this case, so just keep in mind, usually it takes time to optimize and min-max a spot, so my performance is most likely not the best that is possible for this class or for my gear. Actually, I suppose there is a fourth point too, which is there is a chart for trade mode grinding too, so we can include the low-end areas, the season player experience as well. So we're covering everything here. That said, I would like to go over all of the spots I went through on WoSA personally with my experience with them. So if you're not interested, you can just skip here into the math part, but for those who stick around, let's begin with the first one. Unlucky Pig Cave, the permanent one. This is a place where before the class buffs, I used to barely clear the inside at around 23-24 minutes, which, as you know, the time limit is 25, and now after the buffs it's almost exactly 20 minutes inside, and the outside doesn't matter because you have to wait 5 minutes anyway for the timer, so it's 20 plus 5, 25 minutes per run. That's what I used for my speed. Trolls, at this point, since we get into trash per hour, I should mention everything is on yellow loot scroll, that's the baseline. On WoSA I got 10.3, which is kind of in line with what most classes get for me here, around 10.5. Doing just a single rotation, this one up here with 12-11, the best density, but I'm not extending anywhere, I'm just simply bouncing between 2 packs over and over, even with the Elvia buff. Darkseekers, the pain in the ass that made me grind here like 4 hours to get 2 event spawns, 2 waves in 1 hour. And I managed to get 34,000 trash, which seems to be in line with what most people get nowadays on average on Garmoth, which is concerning because I thought that's actually good clearing speed, but honestly WoSA here works, but not the best, not the worst, it's fine. Highlands, a place I would call irrelevant or outdated nowadays, you will see later why, but let's just say I used to think that one-shotting the leg was big, you would need to be some big boy to do that, but with every class being buffed, turns out, yeah, it's very easy to consistently just one-phase the leg, which is what you need to do, which is what I did on WoSA, and doing that you get between 41 and 42,000 trash per hour. That's kinda what you want to aim for, minimum 40,000. In my opinion, if you don't at least most of the time one-phase the leg, Highlands is kinda questionable if you should even bother with, even simply for burning Agris. Dokkebi Forest, a Dehkia spot in disguise, because the clearing speed is more or less limited. I got 21,000 on WoSA, felt fine, more or less the same as DOSA, nothing really to complain about or say that WoSA performs amazingly here, it just is what it is, 21,000. Kind of a sleeper spot, not many people seem to even recommend it, but it seems decent. Dehkia Cyclops, you would think Awakening WoSA works well here because of the delayed mine explosions and the damage that comes from that, but in my opinion, I'm still stuck at around 12,000 trash per hour, the boss trash, that's our speed, which is what most people get on Garmoth as well, and to be fair, it is a Dehkia spot, so speed is limited, but I wouldn't say WoSA specifically excels here, it's fine, kinda passable. I did say every relevant spot, which does include Dehkia Sulfur and many spots like it. Let's just say with most of these 24 to 25,000 trash, but Sulfur specifically almost 25 on WoSA, performed better than what I used to get in the past, but to be fair, in the past I used to grind here mounted on Heilang, so the competition wasn't exactly doing the best possible, right? It's Heilang. Comfortable grind other than just you getting kicked in the air by the geysers every time. Dehkia Pila jail was a surprise. There were a couple of spots I went to that massively overperformed compared to what I expected. When I tested Pila jail, I was still doing it mounted on Heilang, but I did try grinding on Guardian Awakening as well, a class that's supposed to be good for these AoE spots. And on Guardian I remember back then, when the spot was fairly fresh, I used to get about 23,000 trash per hour, 23.5, and there were people like not the worst getting with insane gear at that time, 26.5 thousand trash, so I never imagined, or let's just say I was super surprised when I saw myself getting close to 30,000 trash per hour on WoSA. The hour, I did 2 of them and the best one was 29.5, which is what we are gonna use. Just saying, Awakening WoSA seems to do really well here, and definitely far above what Garmoth average shows. Dehkia Ash Forest Tier 1, a spot where I used to die a lot in the past. I'm getting about standard Garmoth numbers, 14.5, that's what WoSA managed, which, let's just say, this spot reminded me that my DP is actually garbage. If I let them hit me, yeah, they do hurt. So I'm not gonna be back here, especially since the money sucks. Gyfins, a fan favorite for experience and a staple because BDO doesn't want to make anything else just as good experience. It will never get overthrown. I got 30.6 thousand trash in the end after I believe 2 or 3 hours attempts, because let's just say I'm using the exact same add-ons and the exact same combo mostly, with very few variations for all of the spots I went to. So maybe here specifically, if you look in the background, I can delete the statues so fast that you can argue I don't even need the mines, I don't have to place them down, but I have my add-ons, my buffs on them, so I'm kind of forced to. Maybe with a different combo and with a bit more practice so I don't get body blocked by the minions, I could do better. I know on Guardian I used to get 31, maybe even 31.5, I've seen people doing 33, so this one is obviously open to get better. Dehkia Cadrys and Dehkia Crescents were interesting because of one thing. I just wanted to touch the ceiling in trash per hour. Back when they came out and I reviewed them, I wasn't obviously as geared or as experienced or whatever you want to put. I got, I believe, around 31, and I was also playing on Heilang, at Cadrys, and about 32, I believe, or 33 at Crescent, so I was hyped to actually push these to try my best to reach the ceiling that Quendia kept saying, oh, it's about 34 at Cadrys, 35 at Crescents. So I'm proud to say Wusa here is very chill, very easy. There's a lot of gap between every wave, so you can just, you know, take your time. And I got almost 34,000 trash. I'm happy about that one. Crescent, on the other hand, was a nightmare. A place I legit changed my mind on completely. I used to say Crescent is easier and Cadrys is harder. At least mobs are supposed to hit harder, but after they changed the goddamn statue that spawns at Crescents, it killed me twice on stream. I died twice, I broke, I believe, 1 crystal or something. It was a pain because I didn't know it was a change made. Anyway, it used to be that you would get slightly more trash at Crescents than at Cadrys, because also the trash is a bit more, you know, price-wise. I got also 34. I know I had trash when I started and you don't like doing math, so there it is. It's still about 34, so there you go. They both have about the same speed nowadays, except Crescent is way more annoying. Dehkia Thornwood is a spot I never made a video on. I never reviewed it because at that time I just had no gear to be there to grind it. I was getting half the trash per hour I was supposed to, so I didn't have much of a reference point other than looking at Garmoth and saying I should get 20,000 trash per hour here, which is what I used to get in a couple of hours when I tried this on Awakening Guardian. So I'm happy to announce that on Wusa, Awakening Wusa, she performs really well here. I got a bit over 21,000, which is nice. It's my personal best record. I'm kinda happy with it. Dehkia Hystria, a spot that might be dead soon because I saw the ball and the treasure piece update. But for now, Dehkia Hystria, very set in stone, very stable clearing speed because it's Dehkia after all. So what can you do about it? 22.7, let's say 23,000 trash per hour. You should aim between 21 and 23. Not much to be said. Obviously Wusa does well here because I just simply delete monsters in 1 or 2 skills because I'm over geared for it, but you know, it is what it is. Elvia Hexe, specifically in Marni room. The only thing that's worth grinding here is the Marni room. This one is fairly questionable because with all of these high-end and somewhat high-end areas, I'm trying my best to not put insane Pavel, just broken clearing speeds, or I guess nowadays, you know, more loony, right? I'm not trying to go for the broken trash per hour, but I just want to represent them well, to have good clearing speeds. So with this one you have to grind Marni, and the advice I was given many times is do not linger in the packs too long. You have to nail the perfect balance when to leave to the next pack. I know and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, because on Dosa, on Guardian, on Tamer, on Heilang, mounted on Heilang, now on Wusa, with all of them I am capped, or I am stuck at 30,000 trash per hour. I'm always getting 30,000 trash per hour, and big surprise, I got a little bit over 30,000 on Wusa after attempting this for a second hour. I know this is still better than what Garmoth shows. I am using the Manos rings, so I'm kinda no-lifing, min-maxing this spot more than most people will. I still went with 31. For the chart, for the official speed, I still went with 31 because I believe someday I will get that. Tungrad Ruins, a fan favorite since forever to print money and fail stack inflators. A spot that has many rotations, as you know very well. I feel like I'm starting to over-explain these. It was supposed to be just very fast saying trash per hour for every spot, but I did a small rotation because even with more AP, I tried to do the other ones with other classes like Deadeye for example, and I never was able to push past 27. I know you can find on YouTube insane videos with 40, 50,000 trash per hour here, but on the small rotation where you can over clear it, which as you can see in the background, even on Wusa with only doing this 1 hour out of practice and blah blah blah, I still was able to often over clear it, but I didn't min-max my combo enough, so I didn't touch 27. I got about 25,000 trash per hour. We will use 27 for the official chart because I did 27 on Deadeye, and I believe most people who consider Tungrad should aim for between 25 and 27. That's probably the entry point for this spot. Dehkia Aakman, another copy-paste example, just like Dehkia Cadrys and Dehkia Crescents, where one is supposed to get a bit more trash than the other. This is the exact same case, Hystria and Aakman. Aakman is supposed to get a bit more trash than Hystria, so if at Hystria I got almost 23, here I was aiming for 24, and I'm happy I actually got 25, a new personal record for me. Wusa does well here, it's okay. She has decently big AoEs for the spot, so it blah blah blah. But what I wanted to note is that I don't want to come back here. I hate the fact that mobs spawn so spread apart from each other, and the fact that my skills are lines makes it easy to miss them every now and then. Dehkia Turos, do you have friends? I know they are a requirement for spots like these, but Dehkia Turos is not dead. I remember I wanted to make a video on this, and I even collected data with Looney as well back when I was playing on Tamer, mounted on Heilang, and at that time getting 25,000 trash was really good. I had to grind with Looney to touch that. Now with a Discord friend, Twitch friend, whatever you want to call it, with the classes being buffed and yada yada, I got 25,000 trash per hour. So I'm gonna conclude that 24 to 25 is the norm here nowadays with the classes buffed and the current gear everyone has. Crypt, the biggest surprise of this entire project. A spot I actually do want to fully review. You see, if you look at Garmoth, you are inclined to think that touching 20,000 trash per hour is a lot. It's impressive. This was supposed to be a high-end area with very tanky monsters, so you need gear. There isn't exactly an AP cap to the place, and mix that with the fact that I personally never properly grinded here. I just barely touched the spot. I never even tried to extend the main rotation. I just simply grinded here in the Marni room, and that puts limitations on yourself. So this time I tried out of Marni room and I extended the main rotation, and I got 24,000 trash per hour. I would say this is a really good showcase for Awakening Wusa. Here specifically she does really well. If a pleb like myself, a casual with hardly any experience with a spot and that barely touches the game, can do 24, then she's really doing well here. In most cases I was able to just one combo packs, and they are supposed to be tanky. So I'm really happy with the outcome here. City of the Dead, another spot I hardly touched, especially on Wusa, so I did have to learn how it works before actually grinding it seriously. The rotation I chose, as you can see in the background, may not even be the most optimal one here, and there's a thing you kinda have to keep in mind. I hope they didn't change it. You can turn on Agris for the horse alone, the horse event that spawns here, this one specifically, to get more trash per hour. So, you know, we have a consistency we are supposed to keep. Yellow loot scroll for the entire hour everywhere, which means I I have to decide, do I use Agris here or not? I chose not to, but I'm pretty sure most of the entries, or at least partially, on Garmoth are with Agris turned on for the horse. That's probably the optimal way to grind this place. I barely touched 20,000 trash, which according to Garmoth is pretty good and what I'm gonna use for the chart, but keep in mind it might not be represented properly because no Agris on the horse. And that's that for my experience with Wusa. There were many other spots I wanted to go to, like Fortunate Pigs or maybe Orzeka someday, but you know, things happened. Real life happened, delays, and eventually I'm like, it's a month later, I'm just gonna finish the project now before I put it off for too long. Now there's 2 more spots that I have data on. 25.2 thousand trash, I got that on Deadeye before I rolled off of her on just yellow loot scroll at Jade Forest, because I was supposed to make a video on this as well, so we are gonna use that for speed. And then Giants, yes, Elvia Giants are not dead. Another spot I meant to make a video on, never happened. I tested it on Deadeye, just because Quendia made a video on it and said, oh, you can get 40,000 trash per hour here, oh my god, it's so good. So I'm like, let me try it out, let me test this for myself, and then I did. And I'm, oh, you can zoom around so fast, that's interesting. So yeah, 39, it is doable, and it's not irrelevant, because the experience per hour at that speed is really good. And that pretty much wraps up all the spots I personally went to. If you made it through all of that, I applaud your patience. It may have not been needed to go in detail with all the spots, but I still did. And now, charts. There's 3 of them. Let's start with the first one. Money per hour ranking on yellow loot scroll and maxed out drop rate. What you're looking at in the background is me updating the money per hour and speeds as of June 28th, 2025, basically Heidelball Day. If things change in the future, you have been warned. Things will change in the coming months, but that's the current state. For all of the spots that I didn't grind myself, I just simply looked at Garmoth or asked friends and then took my best guess as to what is considered good speed but not broken speed. Our baseline is yellow loot scroll for trash per hour. These are the spots I didn't grind myself, so I, estimated, as I just said. And then here, basically this isn't the ordered list, I just want to show that some areas were grinded as they were intended, yellow and Agris, in this case for Highlands, for Crescents. They were on yellow and Agris, but then they were converted to yellow for this chart specifically, because we want to have consistency. Every spot has to have the same maxed out 320% drop rate and the same yellow loot scroll. Also worth noting is that conversion for certain areas that I personally got to test myself, I can't vouch for all of them, doesn't work straight up. You just say, oh, 3.5, 350%. Basically, if you look at Garmoth, certain areas won't convert properly, like Crescents, Highlands and Cadrys. The trash per hour you see in Garmoth, if you swap between Agris and no Agris, is not accurate, because here's the short version of it. At Crescents, at Cadrys and at Highlands, the mini elite thing or the boss that spawns, Agris doesn't work on that, so you have to take it out of the equation when you convert. You can only convert minion trash, not the boss trash. So at Crescents, 10% of your trash doesn't scale. At Cadrys, I believe it was close to 40 or 50%, don't remember off the top of my head, and at Highlands it was somewhere between 10 and 15%. So just keep that in mind for whatever reason. At City of the Dead I killed 14 horses, if it matters. Fogans, I guess I used Guardian's data for that one. There was one more I wanted to point out. Oh, it's not here. I thought I counted how many elites I killed at Gyfin's, but I guess it doesn't matter anyway. So bada bing bada boom, you make magic, you order it, and you round the numbers, in most cases up, trash per hour wise, and this is the official ranking. There you go, your first conclusion for today. Once again, objectively, these are the best grinding spots in the game. The only one that is questionable, because Orzeka seems to be kinda stuck clearing speed-wise, there's not much wiggle room, is Fortunate Pigs, where I've seen faster and slower speeds on Garmoth. I wasn't sure which one to choose, but this one is so far ahead of everything else that it doesn't matter. From here, wherever you grind, just you can now compare it to all of the other relevant spots. Now you might question, why are there only 32 spots? What about the rest of them? Well, whatever you don't see here means it ranks below these, so it's even worse. So they are, in my opinion, irrelevant. And I'm repeating myself, but as I've said, other spots that have room to be insanely fast on specific classes or specific very skilled players like Tungrad, for example, or the Darkseekers, these two, you can grind them faster. This is 34 converted. They are the way they are here, so this is my conclusion. Oh, I found it. I should have shown this one too. The Highlands, Crescents, Cadrys, the conversion, where you have the trash, and I separated elite trash and monster trash, blah blah blah. For chart number 2, conclusion for this video number 2, you know, you can grind with Agris on. What if you want to rank the Agris spots, yellow plus Agris in this case? It doesn't take much effort. I just simply have to identify which spots work well with Agris, which ones are considered Agris spots. In this case, I included Honglim base 2. Despite this not being officially an Agris spot, you can use Agris here. It's not gonna run out in 1 hour, it's decent. And then you just look trash value. Obviously, you just add the extra trash, right? It makes sense. It's not rocket science. I just simply have to add the missing trash because the rare item drop rate stays the same, and then you get your new money per hour with Agris enabled. So then it leads to this one, this tiny little top 10. It's funny that it's only 10 of them. The top 10 Agris grinding spots. If you put them side by side, only yellow and then yellow plus Agris, you can start to consider where do you want to burn your Agris. And I remember at the time of me making this back a few weeks ago, I remember I told myself to mention, you know how Highlands is considered an Agris spot, but it kind of feels irrelevant, because if you look at it and you pay attention, you have to, where is the other one? Highlands, right? Almost 1.5 without Agris, 1.8 with Agris. Agris is a limited source. Which spot is better than this, just as easy and just as accessible, if not more? Trolls. Well, with Agris, Trolls is noticeably better. So if you're gonna burn Agris anywhere, just go to Trolls. It's equally as easy, right? It's the better option. If you don't have Agris, still, why would you do Highlands when, where is Trolls? Trolls is much better even without. And here's the real problem, right? Trolls without Agris is better than Highlands with Agris. So that's why I wanted to have these two charts next to each other, because now you kind of can make the conclusion yourself. Why would you grind Highlands? What's the point? Go to Trolls, make more money. If you're gonna burn Agris anyway, why waste it at Highlands? Just because Agris enables a spot, like it's supposed to be an Agris spot, right? So you're supposed to use it, it doesn't mean that it's a good idea to use it. And then we have conclusion number 3, train mode. Do you remember this creature? Oh, the good old days. Oh, how I miss the Valk. They killed her. Do you know where these clips come from? From the experience project that is still ongoing for the past 2 years, because I tested all of the low-end areas doing Valk train for them. I tried my best at that time to get the best speeds possible, just to delete them as quickly as possible, and in many if not all cases I was using 200% rage, because Valk was so fast she was able to constantly keep up 200% rage absorption every minute, right, just permanently. Now you might say, but Valk is dead. Those speeds are irrelevant. Well, you see, my uninformed friend. This monkey exists. This other creature. And I made one too, well actually 2 of them, what I call Berserker Train. Virtually the same thing as Valk. She just deletes mobs as fast as possible. So you can start to see the question, right? If you can delete low-end area monsters so fast, are some of them worth grinding, money per hour wise, compared to maybe some of the worst entries in the other charts? Before I show you the conclusion, let me note that back in her peak, Valk was the best one. I didn't go back to retest all of these areas today, because not much really changed, if anything at all, to be fair. The spots were not reworked, nothing, the density wasn't changed, nothing was changed, because otherwise I would have updated them myself for the other project. Point being, Valk was the best option. In certain cases, very rarely, Berserker was just as fast or a bit faster than Valk, because obviously they are two different classes with different mechanics, so there are bound to be some changes. But in most cases, Berserker Train was always a little bit slower than Valk. So you have to keep that in mind. But for today's results, since the numbers I have are from Valk, I used those. So then at those speeds, you end up with this chart. There's 19 areas I consider viable to do, Valk trainable or Berserker train, if you are a Polyforest or Tuvala Timmy and you want to grind on season servers, or if this is just what you're interested in, or for whatever reason, right? This is the ranking for all of those areas with only yellow loot scroll. Also, keep in mind, this does not include Tuvala materials, season materials. You can go on season servers and sell those or convert them into loot scrolls, do whatever you want. That's extra money per hour you would make. This is just what the spot itself drops, what is listed on Garmoth. Kinda goes without saying, when you delete monsters this fast and you leave behind probably at least half of the things you kill, you should not use Agris. The only one that kinda stands out is Blood Wolves. This one seems decent at almost 1.4 billion per hour. Obviously the speed is what it is. All of these you can look at them and judge if you can actually touch them yourself, or these are, for all intents and purposes, the best case scenario. And now, because I am a nice guy, here's all three of them side by side, so you can have your nice screenshot at the end if you want to save it or whatever. This is the end, right? Yellow loot scroll, best spots in the game at the moment as of June 28th, Heidel Ball Day, with Agris, yellow and Agris, and then train mode if you choose to play a Berserker, to tag one, to just zoom around really fast. Maybe Nova Awakening can pull these speeds too. There might be exceptions, right, that I'm not aware of, but it is what it is. Now, to keep in mind before I send you away, this is all what Garmoth has. It doesn't take a genius to realize that some things don't go in Garmoth. Like for example, at Trolls you can drop Limbo Seals or other spots. Those do not get added there. Or maybe you want to value the Fangs that drop in certain Kama spots, right? Or Odraxia spots, whatever. Some items are not listed and not valued in Garmoth, so this is just simply what Garmoth values. I'm happy I chose to actually finish this and not put the project off forever and then sweep it away and then say, well, I guess I have my conclusion, but then I don't have to make a video about it. I will just look at the charts myself, but then never share them. You are welcomed. Now go tap your crown stones. Hopefully you won't hit pity like I did with my necklace. That kinda sucks. Gear progression, haha, am I right? We got free crowns from Heidel Ball, that's exciting. I guess I can tap them. I didn't tap them yet, you can see it in the background because I will while editing, because I'm not patient. You can see if they succeeded or not. See you in game or not, see you later or not. Have fun, like the video, subscribe if you want to get updates. Sometimes I upload when I feel like it. And yeah, bye bye!